Hi, beloveds. It's Lena Marie. I wanted to do a video about what happens when um, you have outgrown your guides or your current guide. Um, and so I wanted to talk about, which is something I'm going through right now. And one, it's hard, and two, um, it follows a particular pattern. So I have only one guide that I've worked with for since I was little, and that's Archangel Michael. He's one of my main guides. But I've had several other guides come and go, and my first guide beyond Archangel Michael was Kali. And when it was time for me to stop working with her, she actually introduced me to Kuan Yin, because that was my next part of the of what I was going to learn. And with Kali, I had a major ego death. I was working in corporate America, and within, I want to say, 7 months of starting to work with her, I was no longer working in corporate America, and I was starting doing these readings. And I left my posh apartment and was struggling to find housing. And I did settle into some places, but it wasn't anything long term, and I didn't really feel that solid in it. And I was learning a lot, and I was traveling a lot too, so I wasn't staying in the same place. And but when it was time for me to move on to the next thing, she introduced me to Kuan Yin, and I started working on self-forgiveness with Kuan Yin. So after my ego broke, then I started working on self-forgiveness with Kuan Yin, and I worked with her for not that long, maybe a couple months. It wasn't as long as with Kali. Kali was more intense. Like I said, it was 7 months. And then I've worked with several other guides, and they kind of come and go just depending on how quickly I learn the lessons. Some of them are a few weeks. Some of them are a few months. But one of the longer guides I've had I want to say since 2016, so 9 years, I've been working with Baba Yaga as one of my guides. And I've had other guides in between, but she's been pretty consistent. And I've learned a lot about boundaries and karma and self-protection and kind of being a bitch, which isn't necessarily my nature, but I've gotten really good at. And standing up for myself, that's part of it too. And about 2 weeks ago, I kind of felt okay, there's a shift happening in this connection with Baba Yaga.